When we first heard someone suggest years ago that the big tech companies, now the monopolies, might intervene on behalf of a candidate in an American election, it seemed far-fetched. Now it's obvious that is happening. There's no question about it. So far, the tech monopolies have censored reporting on the Biden's family business practices. They've silenced politicians they don't like. They've deplatformed any user who deviates from a narrowly prescribed set of approved ideas. And they also have other less obvious ways to influence the election. Google can offer biased search suggestions, and does. YouTube gets to pick the next video that you watch. What's the effect of all of this? Much more profound than anything any foreign country is doing to us. Dr. Robert Epstein has been studying tech and its effect on politics for years. He's expressed concern about the power of tech monopolies on this show. He did it 2 years ago.
And I can tell you that we should be paranoid, because what Google and Facebook can do is really mind-boggling. If, for example, Mark Zuckerberg on Election Day last year, if he had chosen to press the enter key early morning and just sent out a message to Hillary Clinton supporters only saying, go out and vote, a go out and vote reminder, that would have sent her an additional 450,000 voters that day, with no one knowing that this had occurred.
So when you control all the information, you control what people know and what they believe. You control people's minds. What's the practical effect of that control 4 days out from a presidential election? And is there anything we can do about it? Dr. Robert Epstein joins us tonight. We're happy that he is. Doctor, thanks so much for coming on. So first, to the practical effects. What do you think big tech's interference will do to the election results?
Well, based on the data that we're collecting, I would say that if what we're seeing is present nationwide, they are probably shifting this year, in this election, about 15 million votes without anyone's awareness, and except for what I'm doing, without leaving a paper trail for authorities to trace.
How are they doing that?
They're doing it with bias in search results, which basically no one can see. It'll be very tough to see. We've been measuring that now with about 600 field agents in the swing states, and just based on the first 150,000 searches that we've looked at, and that's about 1.5 million search results and over 1 million web pages, we're finding very substantial pro-liberal bias in all 10, or at least 9 out of 10 search results on the first page of Google search results, strong liberal bias, not on Bing or Yahoo, though. And we're seeing that bias in every single demographic group. In fact, in one report we generated recently, we saw more liberal bias in Google content going to conservatives than going to liberals.
Interesting. So that is the definition of propaganda. They're tailoring information to change the views of people in a very targeted way. Now, it's obviously immoral. It's election interference. Is it legal? I mean, we have campaign finance laws, don't we?
Well, you know, there are no specific laws or regulations in place stopping a company from, like Google, from doing something like this. In fact, the courts have basically over and over again said they can exercise their free speech rights and show people anything they want to show people. But yes, indeed, you could look at this as an extreme violation of campaign finance laws. In effect, they're making huge in-kind donations, huge,
yes,
to one party or one candidate. Now, it doesn't cost them a dime, but that's not the issue. The issue is, what would it cost you to do it, or what would it cost me to do it? And we're talking tens of millions of dollars at least.
One of the reasons this is so corrosive is because it's so difficult to measure, and it makes everybody paranoid and distrustful and undermines confidence in the system because you can't see it, as you said. How do we measure this? How do we prevent a replay of this? Not just to stop helping Democrats, not for partisan reasons, but for the sake of our collective confidence in our system.
I think there's only one way to do it. I don't think laws and regulations can keep up with tech. I've been in touch with a lot of members of Congress, a lot of AGs. They're all very frustrated. I think we do it with monitoring systems, with large-scale Nielsen-type monitoring systems. As I say, we have more than 600 field agents this year in the swing states. We'll probably have 700 or 800 by the election day. And what happens in that case is, with their permission, we're using software to look over their shoulders and see what these tech companies, Google, Bing, Yahoo, Facebook, and more, see what these tech companies are showing them. Real people. They have to be real people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. And we aggregate that data, and we look for shenanigans. We look for targeted messages. We look for bias. And we're doing it on a massive scale, and we're preserving that information. I think that's how you defend democracy.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. They must hate you, and that's a badge of honor.
I'm sure.
Dr. Robert Epstein, thank you for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.